Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. Stevie's been very positive today.
Positive.
Doesn't even know he needs to go into the positivity kind of this one. Coach Nicol today being very, very...
Unless the conversation was about Manchester United, then...
Then he'll find the reasons not to be.
Not nearly as positive.
Somebody pulled the plug.
All right, first question. How close would the PL title race eventually be, like in terms of points?
You couldn't turn around and say somebody's going to separate themselves. Yeah. No, I think it's going to be close with the three of them the whole way. I mean, the whole season, it's kind of been like that. So there's no reason, and nobody, the way they're playing, is suggesting that they're just going to disappear and go on a mental run. So, yeah, it'll be tight the whole way.
And if you're making a case for Arsenal, for example, the fact that they've had this couple of games in which they've scored a bunch of goals, that helps.
Right.
That helps, that goal differential, that helps. And if indeed we think it's going to be tight in the end, that may just be the difference.
Talking about scoring a lot of goals, who finishes 2024 with more goals? Holjund, currently at 6, or Haaland, currently at 2?
I tell you, can I get a bet on this?
Sure, go ahead.
Between Hojlund and Haaland, only a fool would not put their money on Haaland. Come on. You got a team in Man City that plays on the front foot, plays the game in the opposition's final third, and you got another team who's all about counter-attacking. I mean, it's a complete and utter no-brainer. Haaland all day long. I rest my case, Your Honour.
Are you betting with K? Is that what you're doing?
I'm wondering who he's betting with.
Yeah, I think it's K.
I'm looking for somebody to bet.
No, because I'm not taking that bet.
Well, I would certainly hope not. You'd be off your rocker.
But if current form continues for both...
Oh.
Okay, hey, Kate, go ahead. You can make your bet if you want to.
I'm not getting involved in a bet with Stevie.
Why not? He's lost.
Not,
I haven't won one yet.
Yeah, but then if I win, I don't really win because I just get a big bag full of...
Oh, well. That's not.
Money's money. What are you on about?
Money is money, you're right.
Yeah, it's just too good for coins.
Yeah,
Okay.
Exactly, yeah.
I know Darwin receives a lot of heat for his finishing, but it seems like Garnacho's decision-making is repeatedly poor. Should he be scrutinised more than the 6 replays we gave you today of his moment?
No, I think it's completely different when it's a young player coming through the academy, and I'm going to guess that Garnacho's probably was thrown in earlier than he probably would have been because of the situation. And he's still got a lot to learn. He's still young. What age is Garnacho?
Very young.
He's very young. He's got to be what, 20?
Young.
I mean, Darwin's nearly what, 23?
Older. He's definitely older than Garnacho.
Higher or lower?
So in 3 years' time, you'd have to think that Garnacho's decision making is going to be way better, and certainly he'll be more experienced. So I think quite rightly he's not under as big a scrutiny as others.
Who do you think is more annoying to defenders, Darwin Núñez or Garnacho?
Well, I think I would say Garnacho, because at least Núñez will smile. He'll smile when he's annoying you. Garnacho just seems to be angry. Or is that just my perception?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Well, fair enough.
I'm just saying, somebody's going to line these guys up.
Well, you can't do that anymore.
No, I know you can't, but you know.
All right. Do you think Gabriel Jesus should be benched for Trossard for the rest of the season?
No.
No?
Nope. Absolutely not.
And I also think that Trossard coming off the bench always seems to produce, always seems to do something that is, I think, dramatically more important than what he does when he starts matches. I think he's a very valuable resource to bring off the bench if you can have him on the bench.
Garnacho isn't 20 yet. He's 19.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, no, he doesn't deserve to be under scrutiny.
For Stevie, any advice you could give to the current Liverpool squad so that they have fewer injuries, or are injuries just a result of modern, fast-paced football?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's, again, maybe my perception, but it seems to be there are a lot more hamstring injuries these days. And I think a lot of that is to do with the pitches, because the pitches are rock hard. I mean, they are rock hard compared to when I played. They were really soft. Today they're like that, and that is obviously harder on your joints and your muscles than it is running in soft turf. So it's just one of those things, and sometimes you get a break, and sometimes you don't.
And the other thing is that you got to remember that when you get to this level, these athletes these are like Formula One cars, and they're fine-tuned machines. So it doesn't take a whole lot for everything to just kind of be derailed by something that seems to be off balance. And so if you're carrying a little niggle here, and now you seem to, because you want to be available because you have to play your Champions League game or your Europa League game or the midweek game or the FA Cup and then the Premier League and so on and so forth, and it just kind of goes back to back to back, and you want to be available, that niggle, you seem to kind of ignore it. You don't take care of it the way that you should because you want to be out there, and guess what? Now that niggle doesn't get any better, and then something else starts hurting because you are basically compensating for what's going on over here. And you get into a rhythm in which you're compensating for this, now you're compensating for that, now you're covering this, now you're covering that, and now it's not just one thing that has gone wrong, now it's 4 things that's gone wrong, and that's when the hamstring goes, that's when the back goes, that's when the calf goes, so on and so forth. And that's why we get the injuries that we get. And it's not only the fast pace of the game, it's also now you have games happening seemingly every 3-4 days, and you don't allow your body to rest. You don't allow your body to actually be ready for activity. It's happening all too often, but it's the reality that we live in today's game.
Morale, do you think that Fede Valverde gets the praise he deserves as one of the best midfielders in the world, or is he actually underrated?
I think Fede Valverde's work rate, I think, is taken for granted because it's so natural and sometimes so effortless on his part, seemingly effortless, because once he gets going and he gets those strides going, he's just running by people like they're not even there. The physicality of his game and the quality with which he plays the game, again, I think it's taken for granted because you have Toni Kroos, who is your typical midfielder next to him, or you have Luka Modric, who's this classy player, or you have the athleticism that is very clear to see from Tchouaméni. Fede Valverde is a combination of all those things, and I think he's just kind of like the other guy. You think of the midfield of Real Madrid, and you think Kroos, Modric, and Fede Valverde is like, and Valverde. And it's getting to the point to where you sort of have to start with Valverde and then the rest of the guys. He is an important part to Carlo Ancelotti and a critical part to their success because he can cover so many holes that these guys that I just mentioned right now at this point in their career, they're not capable of covering those holes.
See, for the outside viewer, he's not as good as Vinny. Mm-hmm. He's not as good as Mbappe. He's not as good as him. He's not as good as him. He's not as good as him. And so sometimes people like Valverde, from the outside, what they do gets missed. But every single one in his team will know exactly what he does for them and what he does for the team. So yes, people on the outside will underestimate him, but the guys he plays with, they know exactly what he does.
He's a career extender for a guy like Toni Kroos, for example. Yeah. Toni Kroos is having a resurgence in his game, so much so that now there's conversation for him to be called back into the German national team, and that's part of the conversation. And that's only come about because, again, of this resurgence. In order for him to have the freedom to do the things that he does with the ball at his feet, somebody has to regain that possession. Somebody has to be able to do the work around him. And if you notice Real Madrid, Fede Valverde is doing that work alongside Toni Kroos, and then he's supporting the attack on the right-hand side. It takes a lot to be able to do that. He does it effortlessly, and people just don't notice it.
Yeah. Every good team needs him.
Yeah.
Is he eating at the table?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If I'm putting a team together, Fede Valverde is on my team.
LA always decides whether they're at the top table.
Yeah.
It usually comes down to a player that's hardworking, has the right attitude.
Yeah.
And Fede Valverde.
And you never hear anything about, oh, Fede Valverde is unhappy with his role. oh, Fede Valverde doesn't want to do this, doesn't want to do that. No, it's almost as if Ancelotti tells him, hey, I need you to play here. All right, okay, boss. All right, whatever you say. Love those guys.
Aw, that was some nice positivity.
Yeah.
See, it's catching.
I know, it's contagious.
It's like a disease,
Yeah.
positivity, innit? You want a disease.
Somehow you're turning positivity into something negative.
See?
This is a positive table.
That means positive. You do that. That means positive.
Yes.
Is there, if there is a Champions League group with these teams in their current form, what will be the ranking at the end of the group stage? Real Madrid, Arsenal, Inter, and Bayer Leverkusen.
Oh, man.
Well, see, that's a loaded question, isn't it? Current form, Leverkusen tops the table. Mm-hmm. And then followed by Inter. Followed by Madrid and Arsenal.
This is all getting
we're
a
talking-
very, very Shaka Power Rankings algorithm based.
Well, it depends how you take the question.
Right.
Right. But then, because you qualified as saying it's a Champions League group, then all of a sudden you think Real Madrid, Champions League.
Yeah.
No chance they're not getting out of that group.
Yeah, you're not backing
Well,
against
think
Madrid, are
of
you?
them all at their very best against one another.
Well, you're taking Real Madrid, eh?
Okay. And who's second?
You're right.
I'm thinking about Bayer Leverkusen because they don't have any real. Well, they don't have any real bona fide superstars. See, that's the problem. You look at Arsenal and you look at Inter and you think of the names on the team, but that's not the question. At the very best, you don't go 32 games undefeated unless you're good.
Really good.
And neither Arsenal haven't done that. That's a tough one. Real Madrid.
It's a good one.
Real Madrid are first, right?
Right. Champions League, Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Not Rayo Vallecano, Real Madrid.
Yeah, after that, it's not easy.
It's going to be late night.
Yeah.
Go to bed thinking about that.
I think I'm going to go Arsenal last because Inter Milan are top of the league, flying with the Champions League final last year.
Ah.
I mean,
Which it didn't lose by much.
correct. So I think second place is between Leverkusen and Milan. I think Arsenal, unfortunately, would be fourth.
Inter, don't call them.
Madrid one, and then what do you think? Who's 2 and 3?
Well, you know my allegiances to Bundesliga. Come on now.
Yeah.
I'm taking Leverkusen and Xabi Alonso.
Okay. I wouldn't argue with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a
that's it.
Liverpool player, Xabi Alonso.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I wouldn't argue with that.
MLS season is back. Favourites to win MLS Cup, and what can Charlotte FC fans expect to see from a Dean Smith-led outfit?
Okay.
No idea.
That's
No idea.
That's a two-part question. LAFC is always going to be good.
Yeah.
They're always going to be in the mix.
Seattle's always going to be thereabouts.
My Columbus Crew, defending MLS Cup champion Columbus Crew.
Yeah, they could disappear.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for that. What happened to the positivity?
Yeah, well.
Who are your favourites to
You
win?
can only stretch it so far.
I say LAFC. If you're looking for teams that can recreate momentum season after season after season, LAFC seem to be that group. Although, look, if you really like a story, Inter Miami, Messi, if he's healthy throughout the course of the season, if they get hot in the playoff, who would you rather have the ball or with the ball in a playoff situation than Lionel Messi in Major League Soccer?
That's my concern with them.
Yeah.
I mean, Messi, Alba,
Suarez,
Busquets, who was
Luis Suarez.
Luis Suarez.
You gotta go through those.
Aye. Well, because
Are you trying to figure out
unless you've been and played in MLS, you have no idea how difficult with the travelling. Now I know they've got their own planes now,
Yeah.
but it still takes you a day. Either side of the game, it takes you a day. So players that are at the end of their careers find it difficult to stay fit a lot of the time. They've got to be very careful they don't overtrain. They've got to make sure they look after themselves 100%. I mean, it's not easy. If you're 100% fit and you're Busquets and all these guys, then the games should be relatively straightforward. But when you add in all the other stuff, it's not.
See, and them winning Leagues Cup last season, it was sort of the perfect way for Lionel Messi to come into MLS because it was more of a tournament setting than the grind that Stevie is talking about, which is pretty much what the playoffs look like towards the end of the season. But in order to get to the playoffs, you got to go through 4 or 5 months of grind, including the summer months that are, let me just tell you, miserable in Major League Soccer, right? And just in case you didn't know, and I know you're very well versed in this, Kay, it's hot in Miami.
It is hot.
And playing in those sort of circumstances throughout the course of the season, that can take its toll. So it's going to be really important for Inter Miami to be very mindful of the minutes of all these players, not just Messi, but of all these players, so that they are coming into the playoffs fresh. Well, first they got to make the playoff, and they come into the playoff fresh. And if they get into that tournament setting, then you look at Inter Miami with all the game winners that potentially they have on the field, and you got to say that's a scary team to play against, as long as they have runners next to them, guys that are going to work, guys that are going to balance the team out. And if they do, then Inter Miami's got to be in the conversation.
I think as great as it is having those players, having Tato as the manager, is absolutely huge.
Or Tata.
Tato. I was thinking Tato used to work with us.
You call him what you want to say.
Right. That guy.
Okay. I love this last question. I saw it when I put out the question tonight, and I was hoping it would make the cut, and it has.
Okay.
If Ale has 10 one-on-ones with Stevie in their primes, how many times would Ale dribble him?
Well, before you go on your rant, let me just say I wasn't a dribbler.
Yeah, Ali wasn't a dribbler.
I wasn't a dribbler, so it wasn't. I wouldn't face up and try to go 1v1 with people.
Right,
regardless.
so you're making excuses already.
No, it just wasn't my game.
Yeah.
It just wasn't my game. I didn't throw myself out into wide areas to go dribble people.
I didn't think it was your game, but what 10 one-on-ones with Stevie then? How many times are you getting past him?
Well, he's not, because that's not his game.
Yeah, and mind you, sometimes even if I got past somebody, sometimes I would drag my feet and just draw a foul. That's the end of the play was coming.
He's even coaching you.
I said it myself.
A unique set of skills that doesn't involve dribbling.
How many times would he get past you in 10 1-on-1?
Well, they wouldn't.
Oh, well, here we go. There we go. This would be a lot of fouling is what there would be. A lot of fouling.
Well, I mean, I don't think that you... I mean, fouling wouldn't have to come into it. It's obviously an option. So I'd have a few options.
He's a great diver as well.
And the last one would be fouling. But all the equation equals the same outcome.
Oh, wow. Now, mind you, may I just say this? We're talking about Footballer of the Year here in the first division in England, right? So we're talking.
I kind of knew what I was doing.
Yeah, top. We're talking.
That helps.
Yeah, we're talking top of the pile.
That helps.
Yeah, these trophy cabinets.
Yeah, we're talking top of the pile here. So, frankly, it's not my game. I wasn't a dribbler, and I wasn't concerned about dribbling anybody. I was just trying to find a space in the box so I can go tap the ball in.
I've got to tell you, you didn't. Did you see Extra Time yesterday?
I did not.
So the question was similar. 11 me's,
right?
Against 11 of me's was I think was a 50. A 50-year-old me, right? 11 50-year-old me's against 11 Sebs in his prime. And I am telling you that Seb, you know, I mean, a sensible, normal person would go, well, I mean, obviously that would. Seb was like, I don't know. I mean, he was dead serious. I'm telling you, he's going, well, 50. A 50-year-old you against 11 me's in my prime, he's like, ugh. No, he was kind of smiling as if he was like...
No, but he wasn't.
But you could tell. Yeah. He's actually not. You could tell.
He's wrong.
He's wrong.
Yeah.
He's 100% wrong.
I know. Because what do you never lose? We established this the other night. You never lose your touch, Stevie.
No. No.
Now, in going back to this specific question, that would be the equivalent of saying, hey, how many times are you going to beat Maldini in a 1v1? Because in his prime, he was at that level. Well, not many people are beating Maldini in a 1v1 situation. I mean, we're talking best of the best, and we're talking not so best of the best here.
We're talking different skill set.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. Top of the pile.
skill set.
I was part of the pile.
Well, it's great to be part of it.
Yeah.
Coach Nicol, great performance from you.
Hey, thank
today.
you.
Wonderful stuff. Thanks so much for sending in your questions.
What about me? See, this is a problem.
You should be happy to
Underrated,
be part of it.
underestimated.
You should be happy to be part of it.
Thank you, Kay.